Hey guys, what's up? It's Crowd9 here with my Emancipators deck, which is going to be including Prank Kids for the new monster that was just announced, Prank Kids Meow Meow. Yes, that is the name. So because Meow Meow came out and Roxy's is a Rock Earth, and Meow Meow is a Rock Earth, Emancipator gets a really cool buff. And while this card is a ways away from the TCG, it's always good to Furycraft because in case Black Dragon gets banned, this might be an alternative that we can consider for more extenders that are actually really good. So let's go ahead and go straight into the deck profile and show you guys how I'm running this deck, and just to let you guys know, this is the token for, or the proxy for the Meow Meow. I'll have the stats on the screen so you guys can see what it does, but again, it's mostly just for a Link 1 that is an Earth and a Rock, and that's about it. So moving on, here is the deck profile. We're playing 3 copies of Researcher because it is the absolute best Emancipator monster. If you have a Rock monster on the board, you special summon her, and then excavate 5 cards from the top of your deck. If it is an Earth monster that is not a tuner and a Rock, you can special summon it, and put the other 4 cards to the bottom of your deck. That's actually really important. You don't shuffle afterwards, you just put them to the bottom of the deck. Following that, we're playing 3 copies of Researcher. Oh, sorry, Seeker, my apologies, Seeker. So Seeker says as long as there is an Emancipator monster on the board, you can special summon him. Do the same thing with the top 5 excavation. And then finally, we're playing 3 copies of Analyzer, which is the best one in case you're going second. So if your opponent controls a monster, you special summon him, and again, reveal the top 5, do the whole excavation thing again. So we're playing 3 copies of Doki Doki for our primary normal summon, but can also be excavated from the Emancipators. You can discard, let's say, a level 4 Rock monster, and then special summon a level 4 Rock monster from your deck. And, you know, that's kind of it. That's all Doki Doki does. It's your tour guide of the deck. Really good. We're playing 3 cards of the card that probably is going to get banned sooner or later. 3 Block Dragons. Not a once per turn special summon by banishing 3 Earth monsters. And then, if it is sent from field to graveyard, you can add 3 cards to your hand that add up to level 8. So a 4, a 2, and a 2, which is going to be your usual suspects to add back to your hand. So really good, and don't underestimate that card at all. For your special summons, we're playing 3 copies of Tenyi Spirit Adhara, just for the special summon because it's an Earth monster. It can go into Needle Fiber if you have some wonky hands sometimes, but it's mostly just there for a special summon monster. But it's also a tuner, so that's good. We're also playing 3 copies of Pudding Cess, or I think that's how you say it, Madolche Petting Cessori. I don't even know how to say this. I'm playing 3 of her. She's an Earth monster that's a level 4, and that's all you kind of care about. She can special summon herself if you have no monsters in the graveyard. That's all you really care about. We're also playing 3 copies of Kauki, Meru Guardian, or Kaukai. I don't know how to pronounce that. Really good because in case you reveal him off an Emancipator monster, you're protected from Nibiru, you're protected from hand traps. Just overall, he's really good, and if your board isn't that strong and you end up with him on the end phase, as long as you have a Rock monster in your hand, you reveal that Rock monster, he stays on the board, and he's just a negate on the board, and that's really good. It tributes and you just negate your opponent's monster effect. It's good. Like, honestly speaking, it's really good sometimes just have him on board. So this is where the spice comes in. We're playing 2 copies of Roxy's and 1 copy of Dropsies. So I decided to play Dropsies because, for one, you can win in time with it. If, for example, you have this in your opening hand, you normal summon it, link into Meow Meow, this will trigger to special summon Roxy's and you gain 1,000 life points. So that's really good. In case you open up or reveal Roxy's, you can link him into Meow Meow. You can go ahead and activate his first effect, which lets you banish a card from your hand, draw a card, and then you can special summon your Dropsies. And both of these are good, one for rank 4 plays, and one for making Herald, or to go into Raptite or Dragite depending on your board at that time. So they both give you a lot of opportunities, and on top of that, if you if you normal summon this, go into Meow Meow, then you special summon this, right? Not only do you fix your hand a little bit if it's kind of wonky, as long as you have a Researcher in hand, now you can special summon Researcher because Meow Meow is an Earth Rock monster. So that's really good. And I actually think this engine might be a lot better, might be able to max out a bit more of this, maybe 3 copies of Roxy's. I think this is fine because even normal summoning Roxy's then activating Researcher is good enough. Moving on, we're playing one copy of Gate Guardian. If we reveal it, it's basically a magical midfield breaker. Your opponent can't target your monster effects. Your opponent can't activate. They can't use the effects of their field card, and they can't put counters on anything. So this is really good against pendulums. It's really good against decks that utilize the field zone. And then on top of that, they can't target your stuff. And if you reveal this, you're pretty safe that turn, or even keeping it on the field sometimes. So it's a one of, doesn't hurt. One Gigantus because it's just a free special summon. And then for the two one-ups of the deck, we're playing one Dragon Buster Destruction Sword and one Mecha Phantom Beast Lion. So they're mostly just for the synchro plays and for the Buster Dragon lock, so your opponent can't use the extra deck anymore while it's on the board. So it just depends on what your board is and if you're able to go into this, or if you rather get a block dragon from your Union Carrier. Just depends on what your hand is, how your board is set up, and what you're playing against. And then finally for the monsters, 2 Nibiru's. Only reason is because I don't want to play Ash or Ogre or anything in this version of the deck right now. I'm thinking about a hand trap version, but I think being able to search this off Gallon Granite or just having it in your hand is good enough. Because if your board is wonky, or if you feel you can't extend that well, just use Gallon Granite, search out for Nibiru, and pass. And then hope that your opponent doesn't have a way to, beat Nibiru. Now that's done for the monsters, starting with some spell cards, 3 signs. I'm iffy on how I like this card right now. I actually think I want to swap out the signs for 3 trap cards like Imperial Order, maybe some kind of disruption traps like the Solemn package, because I just don't feel like signs is enough right now, because everything is just an extender. I don't need even more extenders, because honestly I'd rather just play the 1 copy of Monster Reborn if anything, or just cut these 4 out completely for more trap cards, or more monster extenders, to be honest with you. And then finally we're playing 3 copies of Impermanence, because good going first and good going second. That's it for the monsters. It's 40. You can swap out the Prank Kids package for the Go-Go package. You can cut out the Prank Kids and like 2 random cards in here for the Unexpected Die package. It's kind of up to you and what you prefer, but this deck, honestly, the only difference is you change out the 3 Prank Kids for anything else that you want. And I think honestly 2 Go-Go-Go's and maybe like a Foolish Burial is enough. So for the links, this would be Meow Meow, which again I'll put to the side somewhere on the screen. Meow Meow is a link 1 for your Prank Kids, and that's all you really care about. Really good. The alternative to that, if you're not playing the Prank Kids package, is to play a Link Spider. So it's just up to you. If this deck is still viable in the future, then this would be the Meow Meow, and then obviously the Link Spider, depending on which one. So one or the other. We're playing 1 Link Ross for the combos, for the synchro plays. We're playing 1 Union Carrier for the Buster Dragon lock, or to keep your extenders going, because you can equip a block dragon to something, and then if you link away the, I guess whatever you equipped with that Union Carrier, so let's say your Union Carrier targeted your Researcher, then your Researcher leaves the field, block dragon will trigger, and you get to search your 3. You can't link with Union the turn it was summoned. 1 IP Masquerena, because again you want disruptions on your opponent's board. 1 Needle Fiber, because Needle Fiber plays, you can summon a Lion or any of your Emancipators depending on the situation. 1 Nightmare Cerberus, it's an earth monster. It can kind of kill your opponent's special summon monster in the main monster zone. It has kind of dual utility, but the whole purpose is it's an earth monster. Just a special summon Researcher and to keep your combos going. 1 Nightmare Unicorn for the IP plays. And I'm going to be kind of different on this one. I don't personally like Appaloosa in this deck as much as I tried to like it. So my alternative is Access Code Talker. You're playing a dark, you're playing an earth, a water, light. You have a good variety of different types in your graveyard by the time you probably make Access Code. So you have a lot of fodder just to use this effect multiple times. And honestly speaking, I don't really care for much else. I just don't think Appaloosa is the best right now. I feel like I've had more outs for her than she's been useful. So again, this is my trade-off. You can put Appaloosa, you can put a World Monster in here, it's up to you, whichever one you prefer. For the rank 4s, we're playing 1 Abyss Dweller just to shut off your opponent's graveyard. The graveyard is still very important right now in the game, so you want to make sure they don't utilize that too much. 1 Gallon Granite, if you break really hard but you have 2 level 4 monsters on the board, you just make him search another rock monster and keep extending. For the synchros, 1 Martial Metal Marcher. Whole purpose is just to keep your synchro plays going. On the summon of him, you get to revive a tuner monster from your graveyard. It could be any tuner, doesn't really matter. You can make a lion, you can search out, you can special summon a Emancipator that you may have sent to the graveyard but didn't use the effect, or just to summon an Emancipator monster to, I don't know, link away into something. We have one Herald of the Arclight, just a good Omni Negate. It's a good way to just make everything that your opponent sends from deck to graveyard into a Macrocosmos. Just a really solid card overall, and a lot of times they'll enter battle phase just to knock this down before they even continue their plays. So you have some good versatility with this. One Boral Savage Dragon, pretty obvious. It's an expensive card for a reason. It's easy to make in this deck. You'll pretty much always end up on him at the very least if your board isn't broken left and right. So just a good card. Finally, we're playing one copy of Raptite and one copy of Dragite. So Dragite is going to be your more going second option. If you have a water monster in the graveyard, you're able to negate a spell or trap card if Dragite's on the board. And if you have Raptite on the board, you're basically able to, I believe it's to banish. Yeah, you can basically call by the grave something in your opponent's graveyard. The effects won't be negated, but it's an option. This you need to have a wind monster, which is going to be your Lion. This is going to be your water monster in the graveyard, which is going to be either Halifabrax or Dropsies. And in terms of the side deck, I don't want to give you guys much because I don't even know, honestly speaking. I have two videos up in terms of side deck varieties, one for board removal and a second one coming up for kind of like stun options. So I would just say go over those, check out what you like. If anything, Dark Ruler No More's back row destruction like Cosmic Cyclone, Lightning Vortex, Evenly Matches, Red Reboot, Mind Control, Prankatops, there's a lot of cards you can honestly run right now, and they're all good options. And that's kind of it. Thank you guys for watching, hope you guys enjoyed. And if you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below, and yeah, stay tuned for future videos. Take care.